Hi, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography based here in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. You know, nearly every professional photographer needs a general purpose zoom lens in his or her arsenal. And the most common general purpose focal length is the venerable 24 to 70 millimeter. A lens like that usually accompanies a wide, constant f2.8 aperture. Wedding photographers and photojournalists the world over rely on their 24 to 70 focal length to document their work. Now, because the 24 to 70 focal range is desired by so many photographers, there is no shortage of choice in the marketplace today. But arguably, the grand poobah of them all is the Canon EF 24 to 70 f2.8 Mark II-L, and here it is. Now, when it was introduced in February of 2012, Canon raised a lot of eyebrows with its hypoxia-causing price point of $2,299. Wow, a price point that was considerably higher than the original and highly regarded EF 24 to 70 f2.8L that it replaced. But did the quality improve enough to justify the nearly 40% price increase over the original? Well, we're going to spend the next 10 to 12 minutes to find out. So first up is the build. And let me just say right out of the gate that Canon did not spare a lot of expense, as the build is first-rate and very typical of L-series lenses from Canon. Now, it's made out of a really nice combination of tightly assembled metal and plastic. It's just a brute of a lens. This thing tips the scale at just under 2 pounds. In fact, it's 1 pound 15 ounces to be exact, which classifies the Mark II as a heavyweight. Now, in spite of having more glass elements, the Mark II is actually lighter than the original 24 to 70 L lens, which came in just north of 2 pounds. Now, to my hand, this thing balances perfectly with Canon's full-frame line of DSLRs like the 6D that I have it mated to here. On the inside, it's a very complex formula of glass, 23 elements in 18 groups. Included in that formula are 1 super UD lens and 2 UD lenses that Canon says reduces chromatic aberrations at the outer area at wide angle, as well as eliminating color blurring around the edges of the subject. There are also 9 circular aperture blades, which should give us some very silky smooth bokeh rendering, particularly at f2.8 at 70 millimeters. Additionally, the lens is highly resistant to water and dust, which should allow you, the professional, to continue shooting in even the most rigorous of environments. And frankly, at this price point, it better be weather sealed. Now, the focus ring to my hand is a bit too slack. It's smooth, but it just kind of floats on air. Doesn't really have that L quality feel that you get accustomed to with L lenses. The zoom ring, on the other hand, to my hand, is perfectly dampened and offers just the right amount of resistance. The lens mount is made out of metal, and unfortunately the filter threads, well, they're made out of plastic, and they're also an unusual size. It's 82 millimeters in diameter. Now, on the downside, Canon did not include image stabilization, which frankly is disappointed when you A, consider that the price of this thing is as high as it is, and B, when you consider that Tamron has a 24 to 70 f2.8 with image stabilization and for considerably less money. Now, I wish the body were made out of more metal, but overall it's still a really strong effort from Canon. So for build, we're going to give the 24 to 70 Mark II a very solid 9.5 out of 10. So next up is AF speed and accuracy. The 24 to 70 is outfitted with Canon's latest generation of ultrasonic motor, and like other ultrasonic motors, it's breathtakingly fast. But even more important is the level of accuracy. Generally speaking, in my experience, when I say a lens is deadly accurate, that usually means it's hitting focus about 90% of the time. Well, I've been going over the images that I've taken with the 24 to 70 Mark II, and that number is probably approaching a few thousand photos since I received the lens about a week ago. And really, what's so amazing to me is how few shots are out of focus. More remarkably is how many shots are in perfect focus, specifically at f2.8. Now, I've used a lot of lens over the years, and in my experience, this is the most accurate zoom lens I've ever used on a full-frame camera. Now, to be clear, I'm talking about a variety of poor lighting conditions as well. I mean, I'm amazed. I mean, the AF speed is basically instantaneous. Let me just demo this real quick. I'm just going to aim the lens all over the place. And if you listen closely, you hear the beep. I mean, you get the idea. It's blazingly fast. And again, it's the most accurate performance I've ever experienced with the zoom lens on a full-frame camera in all my years as a paid professional. So for AF speed and accuracy, it's a no-brainer. The 24 to 70 Mark II is easily a 10 out of 10. So next up is optical quality and the quality of the results. Now, as I mentioned previously, I've had the lens for about a week, and in that time I've taken a few thousand photographs, and in shot after shot after shot, I'm seeing sharp focus and prime lens image quality. In fact, the level of detail that I'm able to capture in sharp focus is simply the best I've ever seen in a zoom lens on a full-frame camera. Combine sharp image quality with a narrow depth of field at f2.8 and the stellar bokeh rendering of a 9-blade rounded aperture, and you have a serious Muhammad Ali quality heavyweight contender of a lens on your hands. However, as with all of my reviews, it's one thing for me to describe the image quality, it's quite another to demonstrate the image quality. The next minute or two will be a series of stills and video clips taken with the 24-70 f2.8 Mark II L lens from Canon, and I'll say it right now, the images are nothing short of astonishing. Okay, so last up is value. And up until now, it's been mostly good news. Great build quality, amazing AF speed and accuracy, and optical quality that will just knock your socks off, which leaves us with value. And frankly, the Canon's value is a bit of a sticking point. I had the same dilemma with Canon's 70-200 Mark II, which is also a great lens on the grand poobah of 70-200 lenses. I lamented at that time that the 70-200 Mark II was in fact the best available 70-200 lens in the marketplace, and I still believe that. But quality like that has to come at a premium. Where we run into problems is how much of a premium should that be to make it worth it? To justify paying for the upgrade? Well, it's pretty subjective. And truthfully, I'd have to say the same thing about the 24-70 Mark II. Let there be no doubt that this is the very best 24-70 f2.8 in the marketplace today. But how much of a premium does very best carry? I can't make that decision for you, but based on my experience, for example, I use the Tamron 24-70 f2.8, and with its image stabilization, I think you can make the case that if you shoot a lot of video, then you may want to consider going that route, as optically the Tamron, well, it's inferior, but only marginally inferior. And now, on the other hand, for stills, I personally ran into a lot of focus issues with that lens, with my copy of the Tamron, as it would front and back focus pretty regularly. In fact, it was a little bit unnerving for me to use, especially if I was on a paid job. So in the end, I returned it. I also had the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 HSM EX lens for a time, and it too is built solidly, and it's even more economical than the Tamron. It's only about a third of the price of the Canon, but it doesn't have weather sealing or image stabilization, and the focus on that lens, on my copy anyway, was a train wreck. It took 3 trips to Sigma to finally get it right, but even then, right amounted to accurate focus in maybe 7 out of 10 shots. I also currently own Canon's 24-70 Mark I, which is a great lens, and if you can find a good used one, then you'll give up weather sealing and a little bit of image quality, but that's about it. And used, the 24-70 Mark I runs between $1,000 and $1,200. So anyway, back to value. Given how many options are out there, you may want to think long and hard about paying the premium that it'll take to get this lens. Before you make that decision, just know going in that if you're the kind of photographer who wants, or needs, or demands the very best, and you shoot Canon, then frankly you can stop right now, bite the bullet, and pick up the 24-70 Mark II, as it'll provide you years of returns in your investment. And over time, you'll forget how much you spent on it, especially if you're a paid professional. Now on the other hand, if you're a serious hobbyist or enthusiast, then I'm not sure you'll need to spend the additional premium that it'll take to get to the 24-70 Mark II, as there are some capable competition out there for significantly less money. Again, I can't make that decision for you, but in my mind, the Canon should really absolutely carry a premium, but in my opinion, just not as much of a premium as it does. So for value, the 24-70 Mark II gets a 7 out of 10. Okay, I decided to come in from the bugs and close this review and draw some conclusions about the Canon EF 24-70 f2.8 Mark II. So here goes. The build quality. It's a really nice and tightly assembled package of high quality plastics and metal working in perfect L lens harmony. It's on par with the majority of other L lenses from Canon. The zoom ring, however, was not that well dampened, but it was fluid, wide, and easy to use. Conversely, the zoom ring offered the perfect amount of resistance, was well dampened, and just smacked of quality. It's weather sealed and came in at just under 2 pounds. On the inside, there are 23 elements in 18 groups. Sadly, it doesn't have image stabilization, and the front element is a very unusual 82 millimeters in diameter. But all in, there's a lot to love about the build, and we gave it a 9.5 out of 10. AF speed and accuracy. Now, it's not the fastest focusing lens we've ever tested, but it is the most accurate focusing zoom that we've ever tested in real-world situations on a full-frame camera. Never have I personally used a lens that just nailed focus in shot after shot, not only in a variety of poor lighting situations, but also at f2.8. The lens exhibited amazing accuracy. So for AF speed and accuracy, the Mark II was easily a 10 out of 10. Optical quality and the quality of the results. I'm getting prime image quality and sharpness at all focal lengths and apertures. Combine that with the lens's ability to obtain sharp focus in nearly any lighting situation, then this could be the wedding and photojournalistic lens of choice. Optically, it's just a freak of nature. Color, contrast, bokeh, sharpness, subject isolation, it's an all-around optical delight. On the downside, like a lot of wide aperture zooms, there's some vignetting at f2.8, and the lens does exhibit some distortion, but fortunately with the lens profile corrections in Lightroom 5, fixing those issues is a snap and really not much of a challenge at all. We gave it a 10 out of 10 for optical quality and a 10 out of 10 for the quality of the results. Value. The only real dilemma with this lens is, can you afford to pay for quality like this? If you're a working professional or an enthusiast who wants or needs nothing but the very best, then I think you should just face the music and do whatever it takes to get the 24-70 Mark II. That said, if you're not a working professional, just know that there are some very capable competitors out there, notably from Tamron. The 24-70 f2.8 from Tamron also has image stabilization, a really big plus if you shoot a lot of video. Sigma also has an even lower priced 24-70 f2.8, which is also a capable lens, assuming that you can get one that focuses accurately. At $2,299, the Canon 24-70 Mark II is at the pinnacle in terms of pricing. In fact, it's $1,000 more than the stabilized Tamron 24-70 referenced in this review. Now, a price difference like that has to raise some eyebrows and call into question the value of the 24-70 Mark II. But let there be no doubt, the Canon is absolutely a better lens, but is it $1,000 better than its nearest competitor? I'm not so sure, but ultimately that decision lies with you. So for value, we gave the 24-70 a 7 out of 10. Overall, we gave it a 46.5 out of 50 and our highly recommended rating. The final word, as bitter of a pill $2,299 is to swallow, in my opinion, the Canon 24-70 Mark II is worth the premium. I recognize that $1,000 over the Tamron is stiff, but keep in mind that if you're like me and you shoot almost every day for a living, then a lens like this will help you in your business by offering your clients the very best in image quality. Just the lens's ability alone to nail focus in the worst lighting conditions over and over and over again was enough to convince me that this lens is something special. B&H Photo sent me this lens to review on loan, but in all honesty, I probably won't be sending it back. I'm going to talk to my rep about buying the lens outright, because for what I do in my business, it's worth the premium. This is Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny, and buggy Naples, Florida. If you like these reviews, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, happy shooting.